As most of you will be aware, I am Mrs. Wright Davis, and you will know me from my job role as lead learner for Year 7. The other job I have in school is Head of History at Ysgol Rwabyn. What we're going to do today is you're going to have a mini lesson on what history is like at Ysgol Rwabyn. You shouldn't need a pen and paper unless you want to make the odd note. Some of you might be really familiar with World War II, so hopefully it'll be a little bit of a recap for you. Those of you that might never have studied World War II before, this is an idea to get something from it. So hopefully by the end of it, you will know one or two facts, if not a lot of information about what happened during World War II. The first activity is going to be a true or false. So if you want a note on paper, you can just put number 1, T, number 2, F, however you want to do it, and then the answers will come up at the end. You will notice on a lot of the slides there is a pause button where you can press pause to have a think of the answers as you're going through it. So the first one is Germany and Britain were on the same side. Do you think that is true or do you think that is false? The next one, number 2, evacuation was when only adults moved to the countryside. Number 3, World War II took place between 1939 and 1945. Do you think it's true or false? Adolf Hitler was the leader of Germany. True or false? And VE Day happened 80 years ago. Just have a think back. Some of you might have had a few street parties or something in the garden to celebrate this one over the last couple of weeks. So you might want to pause your answer. These are the correct answers. Germany and Britain were not on the same side. Evacuation was when children and pregnant women mainly moved to the countryside, not adults. World War II did take place between 1939 and 1945. Adolf Hitler was the leader of Germany. And VE Day happened 75 years ago, not 80. So some of you might have got 5 out of 5. Some of you might not have got any because you haven't studied this time again. Don't worry about it. Please don't panic. Okay, this image now, a lot of things in history we have are pictures, are photographs. So I want you to have a think about this. What is happening in this image? You might want to pause the screen. Whilst you're doing that, you might have a think, say what you see. As Stephen Mulhern does in his Catchphrase TV programme, you literally look at the image and you pick anything out that you can see that might tell you what is happening in this picture. Talk about it with your family and see what you can do. So you might want to pause it now to have a discussion. Okay, so here's some of the things some of you might have pointed out. A dad and a child. What might they be doing there? The next one, a line of young women, mainly in that picture. This, some of you might not have thought anything about that. What might that be? And then the last thing that I have added of note is that one there. So the first one we circled, some of you might have said it's a father hugging his son, might be saying goodbye, might be saying hello. The next one, a queue of people, where might they be going? The clue could be to the next bit, which is a door. What's it a door of? So it's a door to a train. And then the thing that the little boy is carrying, some of you might have identified as a gas mask. With all those things in mind, what part of World War II are we talking about? So that is evacuation. So if you remember back to the true or false grid, it is when young people mainly were sent from towns to escape the bombing and were sent to the countryside. So that's a very, very brief picture of people on the train platform going off to live in places that they hadn't done before. The next one, rationing. So you're going to read the paragraph and you're going to answer the questions that follow. I'm not going to read the paragraph for you because you don't want to hear my voice all the time. So you might want to pause the video whilst you read that there. Alternatively, you might want to pause it on the next slide where you've got the questions. So if you read through that paragraph, and answer those questions and pause it now. Okay, so quickly, when was rationing introduced? It was introduced in January 1940. Why was it introduced? To ensure that fair shares for all, so that everybody got some basic food. Who was responsible for rationing? The Ministry of Food. What was everybody given? A ration book, and 3 things that were rationed. You could add sugar, meat, fats, bacon and cheese. They were some of the first things that got rationed. Right, now what's happened over the last few months is we've seen a lot of comparisons of things that are the same and things that are different to World War II with today and the coronavirus or COVID-19 situation. These are messages from the government and they're in poster form. They're in posters to keep the messages simple. So hopefully you've all seen the messages, the first message by the British government, which was stay home, protect the NHS and save lives. And then it moved on, England introducing it first, by stay alert, control the virus and save lives. And you'll notice on these posters in the top left-hand corner is the government have issued them, and in the top right is the NHS, to show that the government and the NHS are telling you the same messages. But why? Why are these sent out all over social media, all over the media, all over the news? Anywhere you look, you will see these messages. And these are examples of propaganda. And what we're going to show you is I'm going to show you propaganda, which were messages sent from the government for people to follow and understand. What I want you to do is look at the posters and see if you can work out what the messages were that they sent. So in this poster, I want you to pause the video and think what message was behind this image. So some of you might have thought, I haven't got a clue. Some of you might have thought, I really know this. And a few of you might have thought, I can do some of it, but I can't do most of it. With things like this, you pick out the key bits. So how many of you picked out the we? Who is the we? They wanted kitchen waste. There's a picture of a pig, which I'm sure that's the first thing that you all saw. And pig food. So with those things in mind, who is the we? Think about what I've just said about the coronavirus messages. Who is the people that issues propaganda? The we, okay, is the government saying or telling us that we, the pigs, want kitchen waste. And why do they want kitchen waste? Obviously to feed them, so then that the public can get more meat off them. So what I would like you to do now is have a look at the next few images and see what you think the government wanted the public to do from them. So you might want to pause this one and have a look at what they are telling us. So who do we think the first one is? Dig for victory, grow your own vegetables. What do they want to do? Grow our own vegetables. Even today, they are wanting people to not so much grow vegetables, but they're trying to get people to go and pick the vegetables in 2020 that are there that people from other countries would come and do. But because we can't fly, they can't do that. So there's posters out in places asking people to do that. Well, this one now, what do the government want people to do here? Who are they aiming it at? Who's in the picture? What gender? Yep, so hopefully some of you have got women, the muscles, showing that maybe they want to do them to work, and saying that we can do it, we can work. And then the last couple for this is those there. So pause the video again, have a think about what we've done for the last 3 and see what we can get for this one. So we have a husband and wife. Tell nobody, not even her. What is the man supposed to be doing in that? Yet keeping secrets, not telling anybody. Because if you tell something, that secret is then going to be passed on to somebody else, and that could then cause problems for the government. The next one, leave this to us, Sonny. You ought to be out of London. Think back to the first image that we saw where they were all getting on the train. Who is he speaking to? Where should that child be? What is it called? Evacuation. Well done. Right, these are a couple of websites that will be useful if you wanted to find out more information on World War II. The BBC, both of them are from that website, very trustworthy, quite succinct. There should be some video clips on there as well. So, what I want you to do now with your family is all the different things that you've learned. I want you to use these keywords below to describe to your family what you've learned about World War II from this mini lesson. Those are the words, but what I don't want you to do is I don't want you just to say World War II was Germany, Britain, 1939 evacuation. We're not listing them. Try to explain what they were. So what was Germany's involvement in it? What was Britain's involvement? Why is 1939 so important? What was evacuation? That is it for this summary. I do have a quick extension task. You don't have to do this. Remember, all the activities on the slide is just something for you to think about and see, do I like doing that one? Is that interesting? Can I do that one? Is history going to be hard? Is it going to be easy? Do I need to do a bit more independent work? So extension work for this one is, I mentioned comparisons, what is similar and what is different. There are many things that seem to be similar when we think about life during World War II and now whilst we're battling the coronavirus. So your task is to design a poster to show the similarities of World War II and COVID-19. Now, if you think about rationing, we haven't had ration books, but think right back to the start, just before schools closed, what was there shortages of? What did supermarkets have to do? I've explained about propaganda and the messages that the government have said then. Have anybody had to evacuate? Possibly not. But what have we had to do instead of evacuation? Have we had to be separated from our loved ones in a different way? So when you've got your poster, if you decide to do it, as I said, this is an extension task, so you don't have to do it. You can email them to ysgol at mailbox@rwabon-high.wrexham.scu.uk. You can take a picture of it if you decide to do it on paper. You can email it across if you've done it on the computer. Now, as I've said, the whole point of this was to get you used to me. Just see my classroom just a little bit, even though it's from the very small image on the video. And hopefully to get you thinking about what lessons might be like in a secondary school setting as opposed to what you've done over the last sort of 6 or 7 years in primary school. As I say at the end of all my videos, I really, really can't wait to meet you all and to welcome you to life at Ysgol. Please be safe, keep well and stay happy. Thank you.